getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 5 of this season, coming to you today from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams as always, is Joshua Wilkie. Well, Josh, for the first time in, I think, over a year here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, we head off to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, my version of Heaven on Earth, but on the road course configuration. This Roval track, originally designed to be the host of the Formula One United States Grand Prix, which it was from the year 2000 all the way through until 2007, is a bit of a kind of like a red herring of a racetrack in an odd way. Nobody really knows how to pin this place down, from the changes that have been made, that turn 1, which is a bit of a source of trouble, and that infield section right towards the end of the lap, which always elicits bad flashbacks to the 2005 US Grand Prix, pardon me. This track is one that I think is kind of like Marmite in the racing world. You either love it, and you have to tell people why you love it, or you absolutely hate it, and a lot of people join you in that fan club.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Ron. It does sort of split the community a little bit. Some people really like it. Some people find it kind of boring. I'm kind of in the middle on it. I've actually, you know, and I think we have both witnessed some pretty awesome racing around here, and that's all I really care about in the end. If the track races well, and I'm pretty sure this one does, and it's going to again today. They've been here, as we were talking on the run-up. The Formula V Weekend Warriors have been here numerous times now, so some drivers out there are going to think they have this track's number. They're going to think that they have a plan and an idea in the bank and ready to use. And, you know, that can be a little detrimental at times, especially if you have 3 drivers or 4 or 5 or 6 at the same time, all having that same idea. There is quite a bit of room for passing around here. There's quite a bit of a long drafting area as well as some technical bits. So, you know, I think you kind of nailed it in the beginning there. This place is sort of deceivingly, it looks sort of mid, but it's actually pretty difficult. Are you muted?
Oh, and that was me having my microphone
there
muted. Yep, no,
there he is.
Back. That damn red light, that thing haunts my nightmares. But this track is a very unique one, especially in the world of American motorsports, of tracks where, you know, you have that American flavor. Joseph Newgarden once put it best, saying the difference between a track in Europe versus a track in America is that a European racetrack is built to the nearest millimeter to try and build the facility around it. American racetracks, you build a racetrack in somebody's backyard, and then the facilities just so happen to be built around there as time rolls along. You also think about the braking markers, ones where it's just basically, you know, Jim in a truck putting out a cone right before the other start of the race to say that's where you should probably brake, just eyeballing it. This racetrack, probably, you know, owing to the fact that it is one that was designed for Formula One and could still probably host Formula One, it still holds its Grade 1 certification, I believe. It's one where, you know, whenever a European driver comes over to America and races in IndyCar, or even Indy Next for that matter, they usually put in some very impressive performances around this place. They know how to hit the marks well, they know how to hit the marks early, and they were able to put in some good performances. Expecting some drivers to have some fun. One driver that we would usually keep our eyes on is Andrew Love, who actually was able to win this race the last time we were here a couple of seasons ago, as he was still running in Spec 2. That was an overall race win as well. So really looking forward to seeing who can tackle the challenge. Tortolo is actually going to be out here on the racetrack, is currently holding on to the pole position. He'll be here a little bit later on this year with the SCCA festivities, racing, I believe, in a Formula V. Ryan Szynski is set to join him on the front row, the sponsor of today's broadcast, sponsoring as well, along with FormulaV.com for Formula V engines, rentals, and prep. Formula V is also the home of Roxanne Race Exhaust, located in central Illinois. Visit the number 4, MulaV.com for more information. We want to thank Brian Szynski, Formula V, and FormulaV.com, and Roxanne Headers for sponsoring this broadcast here today. But Josh, we still have about half of this qualifying session left to go. The drivers still tackling the racetrack and looking to get everything out of it that they can. This is a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, again, you know, sort of in the run-up, and like we'll probably say, you know, on numerous times here, this place is kind of deceivingly hard. It looks a little bit easy. We're seeing in the chat here from Tam, he's also saying intimidating amount of real estate for the Vs, and that's a really good way to put it. It is an intimidating amount of real estate. A, as to where to place the car even to get that fast lap, and then B, where to place that car when you're potentially going 5 wide into this corner that we're following Brian Trzynski into right now. Not going to be an easy one. I have a feeling we may have a little bit of attrition in this area of the track here. It really does pinch and funnel down into this very small one line here that we see him going through, sort of a pith path there, right and left, and then back right, and you're back on the power again. You've got to get on that power really early there as well to continue this rip. A little bit of breathe on the throttle there. You can see him kind of understeering through that corner there. Perhaps, you know, that might be actually a bit of a strategy there to sort of push the front on the gas. He's going to bail on this lap. Lots of real estate on the exit there. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to be an easy one for a lot of the drivers out there. They have been here a bunch of times, but trying to make those decisions when there's that much real estate out there can be intimidating, is a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, it's all about perspective when it comes to a race like this. Eventually, you do lose out on the perspective, thinking, okay, I have a world of space to work with, but even here at Indy, that space can run out quickly. Yeah, I say this as an IndyCar guy. the amount of times that a driver has just taken a little bit too much in Indy qualifying and has smacked the wall would stagger you. This racetrack, though, it can punish the mistakes, but it's not nearly as severe of a punishment as it is on the oval. You've got a lot of runoff area to work with here, usually grass runoff area as well. So if you do go off the racetrack, it's not a matter of a gravel trap catching you. As Guido Marzucchi, our very own SMB colleague, going to grab the pole position from Tortello. That's a 148.450 for him right there. And that's a not the biggest gap in the world, but it is somewhat comfortable, nearing a tenth of a second between himself and your reigning champion of Tortello. Guido, throughout this season, has really shown that of anybody in this field, he's probably the closest to catching Tortello.
Yeah, I'd say so. Guido has really found something here in the last season or two. And I know, nobody's more happy about that than Tor. He's got somebody up front there to really battle with and stuff now. So I think you were right about that as well, Ron. I'm not really sure qualifying pace here. Maybe at some places that 10th there would mean a whole lot. I don't think it really means a whole lot around here. Like we've been saying, there's a lot of real estate. There's a few different lines. It is fairly forgiving, like you said. If you really, even to the point where if you had to really bail and get out of the way, you can track a lot of grass around here and not take any damage to get out of the way of something. But even on the line itself, if you miss that line, you can kind of gather it back up and get on the power and use a bit of the track to get you out of it perhaps. And I think we're going to see a lot of that today. So those qualifying times maybe not as representative or as important as at some other tracks. We do have actually Kane Lasky with us today too. Haven't seen him in a while. I remember, I'm not sure if it was the last time he was with us. It might have been at Summit Point. Had one of the most salacious rollover flip into the barrier through the grass crashes I think I've ever seen a Formula V take. So hopefully we don't see that today. He's usually a very clean driver, good thinker behind the wheel. Probably got a plan for today here, but tracking about 15th at the moment. So not sure if he got a bunch of practice today. He's going to jump up to 10th just now as we watch him on our screen. But yeah, Guido up there with a 148.4. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I don't think the qualifying times are going to mean as much as they do at other places.
Yeah, I really don't think so. This track is pretty much just two straightaways kind of joined at either end by little wiggly bits. You've got the start-finish straightaway, the classic yard of bricks, run in the opposite direction of what it's usually known as, but that's neither here nor there. And you've also got this back straightaway heading down Holman Boulevard on the middle of the track. Middle of the racetrack here on the road course, middle of the track in terms of the facility as well. And it is a wide part of this track as well. Expect drivers to fan out side by side for sure. 3 wide is a realistic possibility. 4 wide is a maybe. 5 wide if the drivers want to give me a panic attack here on this broadcast. Funnily enough, last week at Summit Point was a rather rare sight, as it was the first time on the air in quite a while where my voice completely, well, not completely, I still had my voice to wrap up that show, but I kind of had to do a bit of Steve-O as we got to the end of that race. It sounded a little bit gravelly there. Now, I have been on the air since about 12 noon, so I've already gotten a bit of vocal warm-up so far, so I'm hoping that these drivers keep it clean so I don't lose my voice again, because you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that that would not be ideal if that happens. But with 2 minutes left to go here in this qualifying session, Josh, I think Brian Szynski's looking to have a chat with us here, the sponsor of today's broadcast. So I'll pass the mic off to you to have a chat with the man who's making today's broadcast possible. It's a real-life Formula V racer with probably experience driving around this track. We have to ask him about that, as currently set to start this race from 4th. So I'll pass the mic off to you to have a chat with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, first of all, thank you for today's race sponsorship. Can't do it without you guys. Ron, just mentioning here, obviously you are a real-life Formula V driver and been around the country racing in a bunch of different places, and I believe you've been here before, so maybe you can give us a little bit of insight on how you think today is going to pan out.
I was here in 2021 at the runoffs. I'm still mad at iRacing for never putting that configuration in there, because they have all the parts to make it possible, especially before they camp paddocked over the carousel, so it doesn't exist anymore. But when I went there, we had 3 days of qualifying, and because of red flags, I got 3 hot laps on those over 3 days. So I went into the race not knowing the track except for bits and pieces of iRacing. I don't think I've ever iRaced on this track except for the draft party last night. And I will say, just like the real world, there's such a giant funnel into turn 2. The track is so wide, turn 1 is so wide, and then the track's still wide in turn 2 compared to normal tracks, but you can't go 7 wide anymore all of a sudden. So it should be interesting, and the key is just survival there. Speaking of that, quickly, shout out to the sponsor, Mark Richardson and FormulaV.com. He went through a hurricane at Blackhawks Farm Raceway yesterday.
Wow.
It was scary to watch it on the radar, and it just... Hold on. Jim's just going to talk over this. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, he just got you off a little bit there, but yeah, we're going to give our best wishes out to them at Roxanne's as well, for sure. Then, and thank you so much for today's sponsorship, Brian, and have a great race there. We'll let you get back to Jim's briefing here.
And that on cue is the time for us to take a look at the starting grid. I was wondering what was going on there, and then I finally pieced 2 and 2 together. So usually when I try and put 2 to 2 together in my own head, I usually come up with 12. Let's take a look at your starting grid here. It's going to be Guido Marzucchi starting from the pole. Tortello going to join him on the front row. Only 0.08 of a second the gap between your top 2 qualifiers there. It's close margins as well between Chris Montgomery and Brian Szynski. Only a half a tenth between those racers. Have to go a little bit farther back to find Nate Colacio slotted in P5 and Sam Chapman, the Aussie, and that Vermilion Esports number 29 car completing your 3rd row. For number 4, we'll see series admins Michelle Lynn and Jim Brewster start alongside each other. Jim Brewster grabbing the pole in the Masters category here tonight. Kane Lasky will start this race in 9th, with Angel Soto grabbing your Spec 2 pole and completing today's top 10.
Yeah, and then right after that, we have Joshua Justice in 11th place, then Brian Hansen from Spicy Racing Team in 12th. Moving on to 13th place, we have Dan Straczynski, Straczynski Motorsports, and then Ken Poulin in 14th, and 15th, Martin Visser in 16th. We have Christopher Siriano in 17th. We have Stefan Westcott. Wayne Buttermore will be in 18th, Gary Kittle in 19th, Nick Tullo in 20th, and Jason Grider will round out our field today.
And so there it is, 21 drivers set to grab the green flag in a couple of moments' time. Still waiting for some drivers to line up on that provisional starting grid before we get this pace lap up and rolling half a lap, so we won't have a lot of time to really get our bearings straight. This is kind of becoming a routine like running gag or series or like segments here on these broadcasts on SMB, so we'll continue on for, I guess this is now maybe my 4th show in a row on today's episode of Ron Maunz Complains About the Philadelphia Phillies. After weeks of malaise, they finally put Christopher Sanchez back on the pitching mound here tonight. Now, I'm not sure if I'll be able to watch tonight's game. I'm not sure if I want to watch tonight's game, considering we've had 6 different colors of crap kicked out of us over the past couple of weeks, but I digress. But Josh, this is going to be fun. 21 drivers set to grab the green flag. How many of those 21 drivers come out of turn number 2?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it, Ron? How many are going to make it through turn 2 here? And it takes a lot of sort of decisiveness and maybe restraint and patience and so on to make this work, and respect for the drivers around you as well to make T2 work around here. And that might even be for a few laps. It might not even just be the first lap. There's going to be a lot of drafting and stuff here. So I have a feeling they know. They've been out there practicing and stuff as well last night in the draft party, and they do have 2 options for the draft party now as well. So hopefully everybody's got their practice in. They kind of have a bit of a strat going, and we won't see too much carnage here. But it is totally possible as the pace car peels off now. Guido allowed to jump whenever he'd like it. Doesn't look like he's quite jumped yet. Looking like he's waiting for those lights, Ron.
Yeah, waiting for the green flag to come out on that iconic flag stand here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And there it is, the green flag flies. The drivers are on their way, and we're racing here at Indianapolis. Good start there from Guido. Going to try and punch out to an early lead, but this is a long run down into one, a heavy braking zone, and a massive bottleneck. So Tortella going to have the mighty opportunity to draw alongside. Guido now maybe going to be the meat of the sandwich as they go 3 wide right behind. Look at Nate Coliseo sweeping around the outside. He's looking to gain some spots. Now into 2. That's the real choke point. I think everybody has been able to negotiate the first 2 turns clean. Utter shock. The amount of times that happens here at Indy on the road course is far and few in between. Good start for the field. Tullo leads them as they head their way out of 5 and 6 for the first time.
Yeah, that was some great moves there. Coliseo with that big wide line out on the high side there. What a great line. What a great move. To keep him up in that position there. So having a bit of issue with my timing tower at the moment here, jumping around. I think once we get this lap done, it should sort itself back out to be a little easier to pick drivers here, as Tortello is going to go up the inside of Guido Marzucci, side by side between Montgomery and I believe that's Chapman. Michelle Lynn just behind them. Michelle Lynn looking for a good result today, get a good clean finish, has had some anvils again, to say the least. This season, so hopefully her competitors there can stay off of her today, and she can get a good result. Tor up front though, now leading from Guido Marzucci. This pack of cars looking nice and clean and mean at the moment, Ron.
Yeah, so everybody clean as they head their way off through the final heave-ho of the lap. The infield chicane on the inside of turn number 1 on the oval for the first time here today. Tortello leads, and everybody avoiding the falling anvils quite well. This is a quite disturbing fact that I learned. The Formula V Discord server now has an anvil sound effect that you can add on Discord. Yeah, that I did not
nice.
know that for the longest time. I am so sorry for the curse that I've brought upon this land. Guido Marzucci, Tortello side by side on the run down into turn number 1. And look at that, Nate Coliseo maybe got to try and stick it 3 wide, certainly side by side with Brian Szynski, who's now going to have the front row seat to see that fight go down, close to making contact. Brian having to just dive away from that car of Nate Coliseo, that Chiquita Banana car, now slipping his way up into 3rd.
Yeah, pretty awesome moves again. Everybody really clean. Still something wrong with our timing tower here. Not exactly sure what is going on over there. Hopefully it will sort itself out, but Guido's going to take that lead again. Coliseo still holding right on. Yeah, he's actually in 3rd now, so moved up a position. We are going to fan out just behind him, though. Still some fighting going on. It's crazy just how wide this is. You can go 3 wide and it doesn't even look really that crazy at all when you're coming down that section of the course. Making some moves up front again here. A little bit of defense going from Guido there. Wow. Yeah, I think this is going to be like this pretty much the whole race, back and forth. Lots of opportunities to be had.
Oh, as that's Montgomery sliding off the track. That's heading down into turn number 10, right at the end of the first infield section, and that's going to send him all the way back down to 21st, maybe even more. That's actually a little bit closer up towards the front of the field. We'll look to get that. I believe that's an iRacing timing and scoring issue, not a timing and scoring issue with ourselves here on the broadcast. So we'll look to wait for iRacing to finally get its head out of its keister, as it's actually Guido Marzucci leading this race. Chris Montgomery diving down as a result of that. A little bit of squabbling going on. I saw Kane Lasky shuffling his way around, Ken Poulin, Brian Hansen, Dan Szynski, all involved in that little battle as well. Things hot there at the field, having to ping-pong our way around. Here's the side-by-side fight that we saw last lap. Going to see it once again go on here at the start of lap 3. That's Tortello in front of Nate Coliseo, in front of Guido Marzucci, 3 wide as they head their way into turn number 1. Coliseo, he's been using that outside line to full effect here today, and he gets that done. That was nice for P2, but not enough for the lead.
And it looks like our timing tower has finally shuffled itself back out properly. Man, it makes it pretty difficult to pick the correct driver when they're all spread out in different places all over the map here in the production room, but it looks like we are under control now. Some pretty awesome moves. Tortello going to take a big thump from that curb. That was more than you would want to take on that one. Coliseo actually taking a little bit of avoiding action there, expecting maybe Tor not to come out of that one as clean as he did. He's going to be alongside him now into this left-hander here. He's going to have a chance. Tor does have the optimum line at the moment, but Coliseo making those high, wide, and handsome lines work for him today in that Chiquita car.
Oh, in the Chiquita car, feeling a little bit of pressure there from Tortello, who tried to maybe consider it off into 10. Now, something that can be brought up talking about that run down to turn number 10, it's changed quite a lot ever since this track was originally built. It was a lot tighter. It was actually 2 hairpins in the form of what is now 8 and 9, but now it's just a little meandering chicane to help keep the speed slightly down. If it was just a straight line approach, that'd be a fantastic overtaking opportunity, but it's still opened up enough for these drivers to really sense an opportunity. But turn 1 is the real dream location. Nate Colascio, your current race leader. You've got Tortello, Guido Marzucchi, and Brian Szynski right behind. That top 4 have broken away into their own little pack as Michelle Lynn, the Pied Piper of the field, right behind. Close gaps all throughout the field. Drivers on top of one another. Not yet. Not happening so far. Can't rule it out, though. Side by side, Marzucchi and Tullo into one. Battle of the Leslie Lake Breakers down into the braking zone, and that's going to be Guido now sweeping around the outside.
Yeah, having a look here from Brian Szynski's point of view. He's got a good look at this battle. Battles throughout the entire field. You can see on our timing tower there, all that orange lit up is going to be, well, about as close as you can get before you're right beside someone. 2-3 tenths, I believe. And then it gets up to around 5 turns yellow and then turns white after that. So we pretty much got a sea of yellow and orange at the moment here. Brian's getting a decent run here on Colascio. He will have a chance, although I think if I was Brian, I'd probably stay right where I am right now and have a good look at what's going on in front of me here for a little bit. Try to keep that momentum going, get away from this other pack that's fighting behind him here. Michelle Lynn still leading here, this secondary pack from Jim Brewster, and I believe that is Joshua Justice just behind them. So all kinds of racing all over this track, and that's kind of what I expected around here. Lots of room, lots of real estate, lots of ability to pass, lots of drafting. These drivers have been here a few times now. At least some of them have been here a few times now, and it looks like that's paying off. They're being very respectful, leaving each other lots of room, and we're seeing momentum being kept here throughout the field.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up there, Josh, talking about the fact that even though it's been quite a long time since these drivers were at this track, considering the consistent names and faces that we see here in this series, they have run around here before. Now, whether they really remember all the quirks and features, whether those quirks and features have changed is still up in the air. But I know one thing for sure, we've got battles all around the pack. Here's one, Michelle Lynn and Jim Brewster series admin fight. That's the fight for the final spot inside the top 5 right now. Brewster currently holding on to a comfortable lead in the Masters category as Wayne Buttermore, your current P2 runner of the Masters Racers, is all the way down in 17. So Jim can afford to play it not too fast and loose. He always keeps a tight rein on the drivers, especially including himself. But I think he has the opportunity to, fight back a little bit more than he usually would.
Yeah, absolutely, and some clean racing between the two admins there as well. Jim's going to take that one for the time being. I'm sure they'll kind of be back and forth here in the next little bit. Colascio here making that inside move, so changing it up, trying the inside, makes that one work, gets the double into T1 there, or I believe T2, sorry. So not too bad here for Colascio today. He's doing really, really well. We'll get back to live pictures here, and there's just so much battling all over this track today, Ron. It's pretty hard to keep up with. I'm going to kind of keep a wide shot here and see as much of the track as I possibly can so we can see these two packs. So you can see this first pack here, and then just back we have Jim Brewster, and that pack is pretty long now. You've got from about 5th to about 11th place now. You've got everybody in this draft range, and I'm going to be keeping my eye on this pack here because I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit froggy sooner than later. Michelle Lynn getting moved back one more position now from, and I believe I just saw Tortello in the rhubarb there a little bit. We'll have to get a replay of that, losing out on some speed and a couple places.
Yeah, quick little trip off the track, gonna bring this battle to the forefront once more. 2x2 little 4-pack of V's as they head their way across the yard of bricks down into turn number 1. Guido Marzucchi, Nate Colascio now squabbling for the race lead. Tortello gonna stick his nose into this, and Brian Szynski just overlooking this right up in front of him. Gotta wonder what the thought process is for Brian. Frankly, if I were him, I would just be happy about running in that spot. Say, you know what, I'm good. I'm happy about this spot. This is getting a little bit dicey. That's a WD-40 car of Ken Poulin trying to get a move done there on Joshua Justice, like the hinge of a door after WD-40 got sprayed on it. That was slick stuff there, as Josh Justice still trying to fight. I believe he'll lose out on that spot to Poulin, maybe. Hoplo skipping a jump over the curb. I thought he was going to lose it there.
Yeah, a bit of a rodeo. Cool to be on board through that little section there where you can see kind of the decision made just before that ended up with another decision that would have hurt the back quite a bit there in real life. We're going to go 3 wide here, I believe, with the, what is that, the WD-40 car and Joshua Justice here. I believe that's Brian Hansen beside him as well, and they're going to sort themselves out. Justice is going to lose a few positions in that one, but cool to be on board through that section right there where you can see, you couldn't see the car beside him, but he had to make room for it. It was there, and it wasn't going to give him the track position, so he kind of had to run straight over the top of that curb, and that's going to lose him out in a couple positions there, unfortunately. So pretty cool to see just how that strategy can work out sometimes live on board with Joshua there.
And seeing the tides change in some of these battles, seeing the race evolve as time progresses as well. Some more drivers worth note outside of your top pack that continue to fight. After that mistake on the opening few laps, Chris Montgomery is currently running in 12th. He's right on the back of Brian Hansen, who's right on the back of Josh Justice. So that battle that we had on camera not too long ago could maybe include a driver like Chris Montgomery, who recently learned got a pretty significant sim racing upgrade. I believe he had just his regular wheel mounted onto his desk and was driving around sitting in an office chair. So I believe he does now have a fully committed sim racing rig. And as a past winner here in these Formula Vs, gotta wonder what that may unlock as good opportunities for him. He's a very quick driver. Tortello was even, saying that he's going to have to keep a lookout for him as time rolls along here in this race. Tullo's your current leader. Marzuki's right behind him in P2. They Colacio again, a fantastic front row seat to the side-by-side battling as they head their way at the back end of the back stretch, heading off through the heavy braking zone of turn number 7. And that's Tullo holding on to that spot for now. You can get a move done into turn number 7, but I really don't think it's wise to do that until the final lap of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, again, you're going to lose a little bit of time there. That pack that's chasing you could very well end up in your rear view a lot bigger than they are right now with one little move like that doesn't keep this momentum going with this front pack. As you can see, it doesn't look like they're too far behind there. Chapman only about 3 seconds or so behind this pack. So that's one kind of ill move, and they can be right on you, and that's not what you want right now. Sam Chapman actually looking like he's maybe making up some time, so we'll keep an eye on that one as well. If they continue to squabble up front here really at all, that pack is going to be on them soon, and I believe Sam Chapman's kind of bringing them with him here, so this could get pretty interesting near the end here. That's an interesting dichotomy here, that I believe Sam Chapman probably has fairly similar pace to these drivers up front here, and if he can make that work for him between now and then, he might bring this other pack with him, Ron, and that could end up being a big deal. Colasio's going to try that inside line again and make it work. Guido second place, Tor in third, and Brian Shazinski still with the cinema box seats there, just having a look at these 3 drivers in front, and that's kind of what I would be doing as well. Today's race sponsor with a real chance for minimum a podium, maybe even a win today, depending on how he plays his cards.
Yeah, I think he has a very good shot to try and grab the W, and if he can, that would be a very good result indeed. Everybody looking to get some wins as we get closer to the halfway mark, not just in this season, but in this race as well. 3 wide action to ring it in. Tortello down the inside, very deep in the brakes. I thought he was maybe going to overshoot it and take a little hop, skip, and a jump off through the grass, but he holds on to the race lead now, holds it on the racetrack with Marzuki, Colacio, and Szczynski still behind. 2.3 seconds of margin back to Jim Brewster, your current 5th place runner, leader in the Masters category, and Pied Piper of this trio of cars that includes himself, Sam Chapman, and Michelle Lynn behind. Let's take a look at this here. Jim Brewster, pretty simple stuff heading down the start-finish straightaway into 1. That's probably the tamest move that I have ever seen. It was just a matter of simply overtaking. That looked like a highway overtaking maneuver.
Yep, absolutely, and you can see just how much they caught up to that lead pack down the straight there. So, no resistance on that pass whatsoever. Super clean, like a highway pass, like you said, but it's going to be at VMAX of the car pretty much as well, because there was really a good draft, and and then they didn't have to fight basically into this corner where they're going to again here, going 3 wide. So I have a feeling we're going to have a much bigger race on our hands in a couple laps, depending on how things go here. If they continue to fight like this, and Sam, Jim, and Michelle can continue to kind of leapfrog each other, they're going to be part of this fight sooner than later. That was pretty tidy there from this front pack that time. So really depending, but they are they're kind of catching up. I was about 2.7 at this point of the track before, about 2.5-ish this time. So we'll keep an eye on that, but they are catching up slightly here, and if they continue to do that, it's going to bring this pack into this fight. Montgomery actually looks like he's even almost in draft range here of Michelle Lynn as well, and that could bring that pack into the fray as well. We could have a pretty awesome battle at the end here, as Guido's going to look up the inside of Nate Coliseo here, easily going to get this one done as well. Coliseo, maybe not so easily. Coliseo's going to force the issue on Guido there. We're going to have a look at that one. I think Guido kind of did that on his own, but Coliseo really turning the screws mid-corner there as well.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at that there. You can tell that was a scary moment heading off through 7. I briefly sounded like the shot clock at a hockey game, but right now, Coliseo, your current leader, with Tortello and Brian Szynski completing your podium positions. And in all of that, that small little stack up has allowed the gap between your top 3, formerly top 4 pack, and the drivers behind to close up to 1.2 seconds. If Sam Chapman can have a good run over this next lap, this could turn this little lead pack battle into just a lead car gaggle. I think we are rapidly approaching upon that point. There's one person who would be delighted to hear that, and it's Guido, who fell back. He's now at the tail end of that pack behind, but he still has a very good shot. Very, very good shot indeed. Tortello jumps in front of Nate Coliseo. Brian Szynski is still in 3rd. He's been able to get the fantastic front row cinema box seats throughout most of this race, as you said, Josh, but I gotta wonder how long it'll be until he decides to get involved in the story.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he probably will at some point want to take stage there, so to speak, and see if he can't make a move. I know I sure would, especially if you're hanging out that long. I mean, you wouldn't hang out this long not to make a move, I don't think, right? So if he's got the chance, he's going to do it, and I sure as heck would. Guido as well there, like you said, I was just going to say, he's still got a chance at this for sure, in that other group, so he's in draft range. Looks like he's going to pull out here. He's probably going to get the double on them right here into this next corner, and then he'll be in draft range again. So as long as they don't fight too hard there, Guido can definitely have another shot at this one by the end of the race. Pretty interesting around here, actually, isn't it, Ron? This has been the way this race has sort of ebb and flowed here is kind of unique from some of our other races, giving some drivers even a chance after a spin. That's unheard of in a V race. You don't usually get away with even a half spin like Guido had there, and you're going to be able to fight for the win again. That's unheard of. So pretty interesting around Indianapolis. Let's have another quick look actually at this little half spin here. And, for a moment I was like, oh, Chapman's gonna run into the back of him, but no, it was because he was slowing down a bit. He kind of lost his slip angle there, maybe asked a little too much of the car, and that's going to be all on his own. Sam Chapman Coliseo there, not Chapman, just with some good avoidance and making it out of the way.
Yeah, that's honestly, I think it was just a matter of a simple little mistake, very easy mistake to make heading off into 7. One point that doesn't get talked about in reference to turn 7 a lot, anywhere near as much as it gets talked about in terms of turn number 1 here, is how much that track bottlenecks at the other back end of the circuit. From 7, you're going from pretty much half of Holman Boulevard, which is meant to, hold infield travelers whenever the Indy 500 comes around. That road was not built to be a racetrack. It was built to be a road. So I guess technically you could call this a street circuit, but the point that I'm trying to raise there is it goes from being stupidly wide to bottlenecking into a very narrow, very thin section of asphalt that really just makes it feel like you're going from a 3-lane highway onto a small little alleyway in the other town right next to the intersection. There you can see it right there. It's that curb on the inside as well. You can see the original curb there on the inside, the further inside than that inside curb. That takes a massive chunk of the racing surface out, which leads to moments like that where a driver maybe overcooks it a little bit, not realizing what the deal is. The problem with bottlenecking of a track like that is you expect the track to maintain its same width. So really, you're aiming for an apex that's a couple of feet, maybe even more than that, farther away from where you expect it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It is kind of a strange section there. It's true. It's so wide, and then yeah, it funnels down like all of a sudden you're on a little county road or something like that off the highway, and it's sort of abrupt. There's like the curb kind of sticks out as well, so it's like a very filtering sort of moment. And there's a couple of those around here as well. Guido now actually getting in front of Sam Chapman, still holding on to that 1.6 seconds from that lead pack. So we'll keep an eye on that again. They were about 2 something a few laps ago. I believe it was 2.5. Now they're about 1.7. So they are catching up to this lead pack just behind them as well. Chris Montgomery about 2.4 from this pack as well, and then you have to go back about another 4 seconds behind them to find Brian Hansen. So Jim Brewster leading in Masters. Angel Soto leading currently in S2. Haven't really said much about him this race, but quietly holding on to that S2 lead at the moment. Got a fairly good gap between him and Brian Hansen as well, so nothing too immediate for him at the moment, but this would be kind of that lull moment, I think, that's not going to be very long in the race here, where you're just kind of setting up this last 5 minutes here, and it's going to get pretty frenetic, I think, by then. Just actually looking back in our shot here, Joshua Justice, I believe that's, I keep thinking that's Montgomery on the inside in that WD-40 car, but he's actually out front of this pack right now as well. Just behind him is Ken Poulin. Yeah, another good pack here. So a lot of pack driving, a lot of racing. Everybody has something to do out there today.
Yeah, no, it's been a busy day for drivers up and down the field, but as you pointed out not too long ago, Josh, the drivers, at least up towards the front, in the case of Guido, who's still, technically running inside the top 4, albeit he's the lead car of the second pack in this field. But hey, we've still got a little bit of time left to go for maybe that gap to close up right away, and for him to have a shot, an outsider shot, but a shot nonetheless at contending for a race win munch. I just completely lost track of my sentence as I was saying it. But now, what I was going to say is that Guido, kind of proving that these drivers have been able to tackle this race sort of like a cat. They have 9 lives here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Good way to put it. You don't usually have a chance like that in the V's at all, and he's actually leading one of the fastest drivers here. He's been able to make his way back up now 1.6, so they've caught another 10th up to that lead pack. Tortullo leading, Nate Colascio leading Brian Shazinski, and now 1.3. So at this pace, they might just be able to take a sting here by the last lap or close to it. I think they're going to. I think they're going to have a chance here. This pack is going to catch that front pack, and we're going to have a bunch of cars fighting for that position. Michelle Lynn bringing up the back of these 2 packs here, so she's going to have a chance here to potentially monopolize on a few positions as well, whether from attrition or just getting that shot down that front straight. I wouldn't be surprised if there's enough draft here to pass 3 or 4 cars in a row, but before the finish line around here. So it should be a pretty interesting one by the end, and we're kind of setting ourselves up for a bit of a spectacular finish here, depending on how things go, Ron. This might actually be a pretty good one, but of course, all up to decision making between now and then, whether or not we're going to get that. You can kind of feel it coming here that they're going to start fighting soon, and well, that's when the mistakes start to happen a little bit sometimes too. So hopefully we're going to get a 5-wide finish here, and it'll be awesome. But we'll see how it goes. This place, so many opportunities. Like Chat said in the beginning, some intimidating amount of real estate when there's this many V's nose to tail.
Yeah, no, this is probably one of the more wide open tracks these drivers have had the opportunity to race with. Not wide open in the sense that they can go around the place flat out. If they're running on the oval, it would be wide open. But in terms of the space to work with, compare this to Summit Point last time, that has some runoff area. This is pretty much just a complete night and day difference going from one extreme to another. A former F1 track to a track that I don't believe could host Formula One in any way, shape, or form. That would be fun. I drove the Mercedes Formula One car once around Summit Point on iRacing, and I flipped 14 times. Let me tell you, some of the berms on the side of the track. don't really help at your case if you fly off the racetrack at high speed. Side-by-side racing here. That's Jason Grider, Martin Visser, and Dan Szynski in the Walmart car. Looking to try and get involved in this. Great Valley Dan in that number 899 machine. Currently jumping his way up into P16 at the moment, looking for 15th or maybe 14th, with those drivers still in his category right up in front. One gives some love to your current Spec 2 leader of Angel Soto, who's currently running in 11th right now. Here's Wayne Buttermore slotted in 19th, and the driver of the 976 car, Gary Kittel. We used to call him Gary Kittle. I apologize, Gary, who we learned in the past week, he is 79 years old. God bless him.
Yeah, man, I hope I am in the rig when I'm 79 years old. Massive shout out there for sure, and still have speed like he does as well. Man, if I make it, if I even make it that long, that far, I'm a pretty lucky guy. I think the way I beat the crap out of myself in my younger days. But on to the racing here. Nate Colascio leading, Tortello just behind him, Brian Szynski. So kind of same here up at the front so far, but this is going to change pretty quick, I think. Guido Marzucci now 1.5, so they've been able to, I don't think they've extended this. This is just sort of a part of the track where they're at about 1.5. They're going to be catching up through here. Going to be much closer than that by the end of the race here. I think about just under 5 minutes left, and I'm seeing a lot of V's in one shot where I didn't see as many V's in one shot here. We're going to take this quick look at everything coming towards us here again. Tor is going to continue leading through that section of the course. Guido actually side by side now with Sam Chapman, so maybe losing out on a bit of time through that section there. We will see by the end of the lap 1.3. It's looking pretty much the same as it did last lap, isn't it, Ron? They haven't really made up any time yet. It looked like they were going to. If it stays like this, that lead pack might be okay. They might be okay. They're going to have to make something work here this lap, I think, with Sam and Guido to catch this front pack. It's going to have to happen now.
Yeah, they're going to have to work together as pseudo teammates, try and get up towards the front. You've got a lot of veterans in this little pack right now. Guido, been around the block before. Jim Brewster and Michelle Lynn, series admins. They obviously know what they're doing in these cars. However, Sam Chapman is kind of the oddity, the oddball in that. But 1 second the gap, if there isn't a lot of battling between Guido, Chapman, Marzucchi, if there isn't a lot of battling between Marzucchi, Chapman, Brewster, and Lynn, I swear I'm not under the influence of anything, folks. It's just me being tired.
Yeah, I'm sick. I have an excuse.
Those drivers, those drivers
Guido
can
off the
really
road.
close it up, but that's going to hurt him. Marzucchi running wide, heading at the second to last turn, and you can see that gap begin to grow unless Sam Chapman, Jim Brewster, and Michelle Lynn overtake to try and keep the momentum rolling. That may be enough to just put these drivers in your top 3 away from them for good. 3 minutes, make that 2.5 left here today. Side-by-side racing between Colascio and Tullo. This is the only thing that's keeping those drivers behind from even having a shot at closing up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that little bobble there may have cost them. They're going to have another shot at it here, maybe one more lap to get this done. Again, entering the lap here at about 1.5, so they actually maybe lost a tenth or two here potentially to this front pack. They can still get it done if they don't battle too hard, but it looks like maybe that's not the case here. I don't think they're really, I mean, sometimes you can both be thinking it too, and it just doesn't work out. You kind of try to get that ebb and flow going, you try to get that run, and you just kind of end up stuffing the other driver by accident, sort of thing. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. So Tortello still leading here. Guido Marzucchi in the background now going to fan out to the inside. Sam Chapman looks like he's going to allow that one to happen there. You breathe on the throttle a little bit, see if they can't make up some more time here, and we may be able to have a 5 wide finish still. But yeah, I mean, they've done really good here. Like the top 11 drivers or so, really close to each other still fighting for position. Martin Visser and Dan Szynski still back there in 15th, 16th, battling for position as well. So lots of orange numbers still in this race. Guido now 1.1 away. You need that 10th, one more 10th if you can get it in there. He's going to get it. It's going to kind of elastic band a little bit here, but if he can stay within 1 second, then they'll have a big draft down that back straightaway, and we might have a stonker of a finish here potentially.
Yeah, and the white flag going to be out in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Indy, and it's Tortello leading them as they head towards the stripe. But here comes Coliseo pulling alongside, battling down into turn number 1. Brian Szynski gonna see this go on right in front, and after laying low throughout this race, he's now gonna make it 3 wide there. Further down the inside he's gonna go. Who's gonna be the first to back out of this? It's gonna be Tullo. Szynski hits the apex first, but runs a little bit wide on exit. Gotta wonder if he'll be able to keep it rolling through 2. Contact made with him and Coliseo, and now look at that pack behind. They close up, they break through now into the orange gaps, less than a half a second. Guido's there, he's gonna try and pounce Coliseo, jumps into that top spot. Gotta wonder if there's any damage on that race car, though. If there is, he may be a sitting duck at the end of this race. Now Szynski certainly a sitting duck. Tortello gotta look to get the move put on him. Marzuki slotted in for Sam Chapman, a little bit farther back than Marzuki, so I'm not sure if he can fight back, as here comes Guido down the inside, heading off into turn number 7. 4 cars covered by nothing through the braking zone for the final time. Contact made, more contact. Marzuki and Tullo give each other a hip check, and the same went down with Tullo firing up off the circuit. Szynski bouncing out of that and spins around, heading out of turn number 8. He's gone, and now there were only 6. Coliseo's the leader, though, as they head their way out of 10 for the final time. He may have thought that Guido was out of this race. You would think that under normal circumstances, but he caught a ride with that backpack, and now he's gonna try and get it done. Look for it down the inside, now looks around the outside as they head their way off down the infield chicane through 12 and 13 for the final time here. Guido fights down the inside into 13, trying to make it work. A little bit of contact there, closing up the track, getting a move done. Sam Chapman boots Guido out of the way. Tullo gonna try and close up. More contact as Guido nearly gets fired off into the fence. Here they come across the stripe. Coliseo and Chapman to the line. Who won it? It's Coliseo, we think. According to our live timing tower, he just barely got it. Oh my goodness
I don't even know what to say. That was absolutely incredible finish, Ron. I forgot to put the timing tower up. It was so right at the end there. I was watching so intently on who may have got that one. And Coliseo is going to take that one by 13 thousandths of a second. Tullo by 73 thousandths of a second. And then we're back to 2/10 to Guido. We're going to have to go back and watch a couple replays of the end here and see if we can't catch up with some of our other finishers as well, because that was just too much for one man to control on cameras here. Let's go back here for our checkered flag lap, and we're going to follow this around a little bit more from a much more pulled back position here, maybe even from a chopper. We're going to see this touch here from Chapman and Guido, and that's really going to be sort of the moment that changes everything there. Tor getting into the side of him as well. And then Chapman's just going to get this beautiful run here and a little tap as well. Almost got it at the end there, Ron. Absolutely unbelievable. Watch this a couple more times, maybe from helicopter view here as well. You can see that axle-to-axle contact between Guido and Sam Chapman, and then a little bit of position there from Tortello. He's looking for that line to see if he can use it, and unfortunately Guido kind of covering it off. And just an unbelievable finish to this V race, Ron. Wow.
You know, folks, I've been covering these races here in the Formula V's for coming up to 2 years. I've been covering iRacing events, period, for over 3. That may have been the best finish I've ever seen. That was absolutely astonishing. Yeah, we didn't really know what to expect heading into this race, but from the times that we've covered this combination before, we knew it was going to be fun, and fun it was. What a way to get the win for Nate Coliseo. It's his first trip into victory lane in several seasons here, and he earned it just barely. According to our live timing screens, he won it by 13 thousandths of a second. But it actually was 6 thousandths of a second according to the iRacing live timing. You'll see that be reflected in the results momentarily as we take a look at this from Coliseo's perspective. Coming towards the stripe, it was a matter of inches between those drivers as they headed their way towards the line. There it is. That is as close as you could get to a dead heat. That is unbelievable. I think what may have actually did it for Coliseo was that bit of contact from Tullo. I'm not sure, because at that point it was already sideways as they headed their way across the line. Now, of course, it is decided by when the transponder comes across in these cars. The transponder is usually not at the exact north end of the race car. I think it still would have been Colasio's either way, but I think that was just Tortello doing everything that he could in the heat of the moment. I mean, look at this for Tullo. He nearly got sent off into hell there. That contact that he had with Guido, in any other circumstances, that would have sent his car up off to the moon. There's the contact.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, some late contact there as well, kind of after the fact. But yeah, I think you're right, Ron. You know, Tor kind of trying to do everything he could to sort of open that line. Guido doing everything he could to position the car so that he couldn't, you know, and they make a little bit of contact there. And I think that might have been the death blow for that particular run there. But I can't believe that the finish there was just unbelievable. The finishes in the Formula V Weekend Warriors are something else. We're gonna have to make some shorts out of that one. I think you can see this contact here. Boom. So it was a pretty good thump there, and you know that I don't think that was, of course, not intentional contact. The track is bending there, it's turning. He's pretty much staying on line. Guido kind of trying to bring that line down a bit to not allow him to have it. Maybe not communicating quite as well between each other, but wow, amazing. And we even get a dramatic spin and crash with some smoke at the end there as well. Who could ask for more? Pretty awesome stuff. And I know that we actually just missed, I believe we're going to have a bit of a silly thing here at the end. I'm going to see if they actually did it. Let's click on Jason Grider. No, he's hurting already. Let's click on Guido. Did he run out of gas?
The finish is so good, we didn't even pay attention to the crash 'em up wreckfest at the end. So
that's right, yeah. We're looking for it now.
Oh, you can already see the desperate remains. See what we heard. Yeah, there you can see it. Drivers already going down the oval as they're meant to, and the other half of the field decided to split it. So one half of the field was going the regular way around the oval.
Oh, here we go.
The other field was going there. You can see it. Oh my goodness me!
A couple of them remembered to do it by the looks of it. I think, who was that up there? I think that was Ken Poulin. Let's see if we can't follow him. Oh, as we catch him hitting the guardrail there. I think I saw one of his legs fly. Nope, that was Wayne Buttermore tumbling at our camera. Almost took our cameraman out there. Holy, I haven't seen one of those yet either. Let's back that up and see exactly what happened. It looks like, I believe that's Jason Grider, and they're going to make contact here.
That's the second time here in the history of slow motion broadcasting we've had a driver strike the fence. I believe it was I can't remember the driver. It was in the old XMS IndyCar series that we were covering last summer, and a driver fired it off into the catch fence there.
Now, the last time I can remember, I think I was with a different company, and I believe it was an SRF race. Actually, it wasn't Formula V's. It was Megan Overstreet, and got launched into a fence and actually got the car stuck, and the car started doing weird physics things in it. I had never seen anything quite like that before, but Buttermore doing his very best attempt here to ballpark it, and actually wasn't quite successful in it here. We're going to zip forward a little bit and see if we can't actually see him get this done here. So while we are waiting for our interviews, I believe we do have Jim Brewster up there actually in the interview waiting room, so we can probably bring him here down into the room and start talking to him if you want here while we look at some more of these shenanigans, Ron.
Yeah, it was Jake Vasconcelos not too long ago here on SMB that fired it off into the catch fence. That was a wild ride that he had. Wild ride for Wayne Baltimore. We're taking a look at one more replay of this wild trip off the track. And oh my god!
No.
Backwards into the catch fence.
Oh, that was like 3 points on the safe barrier there on the top, and then he's going to land
right on top of Dan Szczynski's head.
Dan Szczynski gets one in the onion in the great value car. Unfortunately, Wayne Buttermore 10 out of 10 on that one. That was impressive. Good stuff.
Oh goodness me! Let's take a look at the race results. We had a thrilling finish and some amazing crashes once we were done with it all. So here it is: Nate Colasio and Sam Chapman. 5 thousandths of a second. Even iRacing had to wait a little bit because they said it was 8 thousandths of a second. 5 thousandths of a second, the gap at the end of this race. Sam Chapman ends up very close, probably the closest finish I've ever called in P2. Tortello runs at your podium in third, a podium that was covered by 78 thousandths of a second at the end of that race. Oh, goodness me. Guido Morzuki ends up in fourth in front of your Masters winner of Jim Brewster. Michelle Lynn in sixth. Chris Montgomery in seventh. Angel Soto wins it in the Spec 2 category, finishing this race in eighth in front of Joshua Justice in ninth. And Ken Poulin completing your top 10.
Yeah, and then after that we have Brian Hansen P2 in S2 today. So great work, Brian. Good drive out there. Christopher Siriano is going to take 12th place. Jason Greider in third in P2. Another great drive there. Dan Trzynski just behind him. Martin Visser in 15th. In 16th we have Nick Tullo. In 17th we have Stefan Westcott. In 18th we have Gary Kittle. And if I can find the button here for the results, we'll go to 19th place, which is Wayne Buttermore. Ballparking it almost, giving the fans a pretty good show there, and actually, tiptoeing across the top of that safety barrier was pretty interesting. And then Brian Trzynski just behind him in 20th, and Kane Lasky not doing too well today, falling victim to some early lap. Actually, I'm not even sure he took the start there in 21st.
And so those are your results at the end of round number 5 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here at Indianapolis, a race that will go into the history books as one of the best finishes in the history of this series. Let's move off into the interview, shall we, and have a chat with the man who was able to bring us some good battles, and of course as a series admin here in this series, our Masters winner at the end of it all, that being Jim Brewster, ended up in 5th when we were done here with this race. Jim now joining us in the broadcast booth. Jim, welcome in. I'm sure you got a good view of that last lap battling, considering you were involved in it yourself, but take a look back on the broadcast. I nearly blew out a lung having to commentate that photo finish right up in front.
Yeah, well, you see how hard we were working with Guido, and it was just a matter of how well Guido thought Sam was working with him. Michelle came over and suggested to Sam, hey, Guido should be able to pull us back up. And I was planning on going for a double on that last lap because I was coming flying up behind him every lap. But then they stayed in line, and the front group started fighting on the next to last lap. So I could see that we were totally overlapping on the last lap. So and then it just went totally crazy on the last lap. But yeah, it's a challenging track, and it's tough to just even stay nose to tail because it's a tricky track. There's places that are really tricky, and but anyway, it was really enjoyable, and a lot of brain smoke. I mean, my brain is fatigued.
Yeah, no, I can second that. There were some periods of time during that broadcast where I just completely lost out on my train of thought. So used to the 3-wide racing and that finish at the end. We're getting a view of it right now on the broadcast. Insane stuff here. It's been a little while since we saw this series run here. I'm harkening back to probably, let's say, about this time a year ago at the absolute earliest. It's just a track we don't usually run at.
Yeah, what a year ago was 4 seasons ago. Yeah, well, I think we decided last night that it was the 3rd time we've run here. So,
Gotcha.
And the other guy that's the rocket here is Andrew, and he's busy at Summit Point today. He was rocket fast last night. He and I were out front last night because Guido and Chris is as you see, Chris is a rocket. It's too bad Chris got bumped back because he would have really been in that front group right to the very end. But anyway, it's really good. Next week we're going to my favorite track, Okayama, dry conditions, regular, and we've been there a million times, but I think it always is a good race, and it's my favorite place to race at. So I don't know, yeah, we're chugging along good. Then after that we go to a new track, a brand new track, and then we go to Phillip Island in the rain. So I think we got a good few weeks coming up. I hope we get a good turnout. Today was decent. Last night was a little slow, but I don't know if you've been watching the SCCA Nationals. A lot of us follow that, and they're suffering through really low car counts. So all considered, we're doing better off than they are. So, that's something to celebrate. Anyway, so hi to Tam. We're just getting to be summer here, so she's heading towards winter. And anyway, I hope she enjoyed the show. I just want to tell you, my dad actually called me last week. And without prodding him, he actually watched the race and really enjoyed the show. And so I might actually have 2 family members now watching. I don't know if he'll watch regularly, but I've been after him forever to get YouTube on his television, and he finally did it. And it still took a few months, and he finally jumped in. So anyway, hopefully we have another fan. Yeah. Anyway, thanks to everything, guys. I love watching shows as much as anybody. I think I'm guilty of rewatching several of our great races over and over. So if you're getting the counts, it might not be spreading the demographics because it's one guy from Northern Virginia that keeps clicking on them.
That's okay. We appreciate it, man. And this is gonna be one of those rewatchable races. Let me tell you, that finish was something else. We'll be watching that one for years.
You bet. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Who else in the booth? Are we short? I want to know. I want you to know, at my pre-race speech, I told everybody that you meet the nicest people in your interview rooms, and I told everybody on all the podiums and all the classes to be here. So I don't know what.
We got to get better cookies or something up here. Better snacks maybe next
beer.
week.
I'll tell them there's free beer.
There you go.
So maybe we'll start penalizing them points if they don't do, because there are race theories that like
or extra points.
Golf and stuff does that, and there are things that actually penalize people if they don't do post-race interviews. So but they just don't know how nice you guys are. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Hey, we try our best up here, Maybe it's the snacks.
Hey,
we'll get better.
By the way, if we get rain tomorrow with VIR, especially if it's moderate rain, it's going to be a bloodbath. I tested it. Light rain is okay. Moderate rain, and I don't know. We have forecast in Northern Virginia here, rain sometime tomorrow. 66% chance of rain. So if we get moderate rain, wait till you see Hog Pen. It's pretty much undrivable in moderate rain. Yep.
Right on.
Yeah, Jim.
Anyway, see you guys later. See you guys next week, and see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jim.
And,
thanks for everything, buddy.
We'll see you tomorrow on track.
You bet. See ya. Bye-bye.
And that right there was Jim Brewster, our series admin, race winner in the Masters category, and P6 finisher here today. No, wait, he finished in P5 at the end of it all. He was in 6th at the time of that replay. But Josh, pretty wild one. That was... I don't even think we can, elaborate any more on how that finish was. I think my description of saying that I nearly blew out a lung covering the end of that race was pretty fitting as well. So many twists and turns, such amazing racing. We should come here more often because that was incredible.
Yeah, like I said on the run-up, Ron, this place is kind of deceiving. Every time I've been here, people think it's kind of boring, but every time we've been here, we end up with a finish, something like this, or some really good passing, or what have you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next time we come here. The Formula V's seem to really work well around here. We should actually mention Michelle Into avoiding those anvils today. Just noticed in the background there, she got a decent finish today. So great, keep that one in the bank, and hopefully we can keep that momentum rolling. I know what it feels like to just get smucked out of every race after race after race after race. And yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like, right in the forehead every time. And yeah, it's just good to see her finish one up here in a good position. I know what that's like. So to wrap her up here, though, wow, Indy always showing us some good racing, and these drivers out there just getting better and better and better every time we frequent these tracks like this. It's been great.
Yeah, and still a lot of action to come up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Of course, next time out here for this series, we will be running at Okayama, so looking forward to seeing that action there. The Spec Racer Fords will be taking to the racetrack at the other Nürburgring in about 24 hours time here on SMB. And quick little mention about the Nürburgring. There was an unfortunate accident where a driver passed away there a bit earlier on today, so I want to send our thoughts over to that paddock and that driver's family who ended up passing away, a multi-car accident in the other Nürburgring 24 qualifiers. But along with the Spec Racer Fords running at the Nürburgring this upcoming week, we have got the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Championship continuing on their campaign at Bathurst this upcoming week. SRG F3 will be at St. Pete on the IndyCar road course. That'll be really, really fun. Formula V's, as I said, will be at Okayama, and then we also have Sim Racers Group action at Suzuka for the 7th round of the series. The Grand Prix Tour will be returning here to Slow Motion Broadcasting for the final 2 races of their campaign, Portimao and Suzuka. Not this upcoming Monday, but the Monday after that, starting off the month of May and running through to after that. Along with that, we've also got the regular stable of Weekend Warriors races. Of course, funding still open for the Spec Racer Ford and Formula Ford shows. So if you would like to put your name on some of that amazing racing action, you can by joining the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server, getting in contact with myself, Joshua Wilkie, or Stevie Ray, series admin, and we'll put you in the right direction. As well as that, here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Not too long after the real-life festivities here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Monday, May 30th, we'll be running a Mustang GT3 charity race in honor of Sergeant Adam W. Estep, the son of Ken Estep, one of the other drivers here in the SMB world, both in the Sim Racers group as well as running in the American Muscle Series that we just wrapped up this past Tuesday. That'll be broadcasted live here on SMB on May 30th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can see the local listings by subscribing here to Slow Motion Broadcasting so you never miss out on any of the racing action, and hitting that notification bell so you're notified every single time that we go live. Our thanks once again to Brian Szynski and FormulaV.com and Roxanne Headers for sponsoring today's wonderful action here on SMB. For round number 5 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors, it was a fun one, and hopefully all of you have enjoyed it. But as for this broadcast here today, for round number 5 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's show, I say thank you all so very much for joining in on the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not-too-distant future.